My love of the ocean started when my grandfather taught me about the animals of the ocean. The importance of the water and how it affects the people on land. How important the ocean is to our culture, because we live off of the food that the ocean provides us. It's important for the people to take care of the ocean.
The Federated States of Micronesia is a maritime big sea country. And we take pride in the fact that we are an ocean country. Since our ancestral times, we've used the oceans for our livelihoods. And recently, for our economic development, our fisheries is very important.
Tois matarotari was for Fangaritat, Shara Kaidimentat, yung order modified America, Rammer Pegu, you order and store.
Micronesians live and breathe the ocean. Everything that we do is tied to the ocean. In Chuuk, they say, Tiro Nang, Tiro Furu, Tiro Matau, Tiro Aravas. The ocean and our environment, the land comes before us because we are stewards. If we don't respect the land ocean, then we don't respect ourselves.
Our communities have been the stewards of our oceans since our ancestral times. They've been protecting them through traditional means of conservation, traditional means of fishing.
But even with our regulations and control means in place, the fish stock is still going down. It has to do with the condition of our oceans.
Climate change is really affecting the small islands here in the Pacific, where most of the storms are born. And they become more frequent, more intense, and it's getting harder and harder now to get fish.
Traditional management is very crucial, especially in the Pacific Islands. But nowadays, with modern technology, we are basically trying to merge traditional knowledge as well as science-based practices that are practicable in the region, especially in Micronesia. One of the most successful work that we are currently doing is working with the Micronesia Challenge.
The Micronesia Challenge, it's a commitment between 5 governments here in Micronesia, the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of Palau, the Republic of Marshall Islands, Guam, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas Islands. So all of them have agreed to work together with government leaders, our traditional leaders, our community leaders, so that we can find the best and effective ways to protect our terrestrial and marine resources. And so for 2030, the goal is to effectively manage 50% marine, 30% terrestrial.
We need to know how to protect our ocean resources, our fisheries. And in order to do that, we need to have the correct information to make the correct decisions, policy decisions.
Well, National Geographic Pristine Seas is a project invented by the great man Henrik Saller. How we work is we identify pristine places in the ocean that are under threat from climate change, pollution and overfishing that should be protected. Well, we're in Kosrae which is the most eastern point of the Federated States of Micronesia. And it's our launch point. We're going to sail around about 2,000 nautical miles. We're going to hit all 4 main states: Kosrae, Pohnpei, Chuuk, and Yap. And the mission of the FSM expedition was to support Blue Prosperity Micronesia in the marine spatial planning.
So Blue Prosperity Micronesia is a government-led program that supports the sustainable growth of marine resources here in the FSM. How can we use both science, traditional knowledge to protect, but also use our ocean in a way that's safe and sustainable? So for the expedition, all the data that's being collected feeds into this marine spatial planning.
Marine spatial planning aims to create a design how you will use your ocean. And so it's designed to protect ecosystem functions and resources.
What's important and significant about this expedition is that a lot of the main islands already have a lot of data, so the expedition is going to be focusing on filling in the data gaps, collecting data for the outer islands and the atolls.
We're trying to answer a couple of main questions. One is, what is that reef? What's it like? Has it been overfished? Is it suffering from climate change? Is it suffering from pollution?
We also want to identify and understand how traditional management on the outer atoll societies is working in the face of this modern world of climate change. And hopefully through sharing that, we'll engage more people in positive actions.
We're now at Yella. And this is the name of the place because of the project Yella Environment Landowners Authority. I would like to welcome you to this place. I like it here. Animals, plenty. We have pigeons, freshwater eels, wild pigs, lots of frogs, mosquitoes, everything. So this is it. If you go all up over there and up to the mountain, only this kind of trees, polecat trees, terminalia trees. The place is special because of the cow forest here. This is the tree that they used to make local canoes. And also they cut it and split it. They use it for the houses, their houses. The place that we're conserving is around 78 acres, but it's bigger than that. We also have this watershed.
The reef concept is we have the ridge behind me. Everything that happens up there, top of the mountain, it will affect the watershed. And it will end up in the ocean because everything is connected from ridge to reef.
That's why we don't do any development on the place. We're also a member of the Marine Protected Area because we want to conserve the reef.
So we are at the Blue Prosperity Reserve core zone.
and this is the first marine protected area on the island. The unique thing about this area is that it has different ecosystems. This is a no-take zone, so no any kind of harvesting can be done here, but recreational purposes only. Fish or remove any rocks, sand, and even mangrove trees. They're important because they filter sediments from inland. And aside from that, they keep our reef in place. They're like the framework of our island. So whenever there's storms, it protects us from strong winds and waves. In these roots, the mangroves serve as a nursery for many fish species. There's all kinds of fish come here. I think one unique thing about the mangroves, the reserve that we have here is right by the mangrove areas, you can find corals. So corals are growing very well. See, there's a lot of fish. Well, the initiation of this project, it began back in 2005. It was a community-driven idea, and then it was included into the protected area system in 2012. So this is one of the areas that we find Pohnpei parrotfish. So it's really hard to find Pohnpei parrotfish nowadays. They help the corals a lot. They clean the corals and they make sand. I think the main reason why we find them here is because this place is protected. Nobody's allowed to fish in here, so I'm sure that's why they like this area. People are really becoming interested in protecting their side, especially the people from this community. It's all about climate resiliency. So if we protect our land, it will better protect our waters and the marine lives.
Everybody come over here, even the kids. They like us because they want to play in the river. And then whenever we have gathering, we try to let them know more about this project so they can help us. They know that it's for them in the future. It's not for us. We do it for them.
Passengers are waiting to see the island of Kosrae, and I say farewell. I love you all, I will miss you, adios. Take care till we meet again someday, my friend, on the island of Kosrae.
Thanks very much, fellas. So come on in, we've got a little briefing going on down there. You get yourself organised, get your cabins, find your gear.
Having the community a part of the expedition is essential because these are their waters. This is where they collect food. This is how they make a living.
We're very lucky having local divers on board because the work they've done in their ocean, they know it better than we ever will.
Oh, you did it! Hey, well.
The local reef monitoring teams have collected a lot of data in the waters around the main islands, so we're focusing our research on the outer atolls. Kosrae doesn't have any outer atolls, so we're moving on to Pohnpei.
I would proudly say that I am super excited about this expedition.
I haven't been to any places to dive other than Kosrae.
We're very lucky in this expedition. We've got Dr. Nicole Yamasei, who is the only Micronesian and indeed the youngest Micronesian ever to be to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
I am so excited and so proud to be back, to be a part of the expedition as an FSM citizen, as someone who was born and raised across the Micronesia region.
We've got Dr. Peter Helk, who is from University of Guam. He's been working in these waters for over 20 years. And he's the one that's really been working with these local people, and they're the ones that have been guiding his work.
We're lucky to have the chance to survey these outer islands. This is the most extensive trip that's ever been done in the outer atolls of Federated States of Micronesia to provide access to the underwater resources and to look at that on a map and appreciate how far that is. And really an amazing opportunity with all these islands in different societies and languages in between.
I am the highest chief and municipal of Medellin. Basically, I overlook all the villages in Medellin. There's 46 villages, and I'm responsible for everything that happens from the mountain to the sea. Ocean, I would say it brings us together. It brings a lot of fish. Pohnpei is one of the beautiful places in the world. We need to take care of it now for the young people, the next generation.
Okay, so welcome to our field trip for the day. We're gonna head out to our first site. So while we're out there, I'm gonna put you guys, or assign you guys in 2 groups. And we're gonna set up 4 transect lines per site. So we're doing 3 habitats today: Fringing Reef, Patch Reef, and then Pack Reef. My name is Pelchin Pele. I'm actually currently the only marine science instructor at the college. We don't have that many local scientists. So that's why I wanted to become a teacher at the end. And I've been teaching for roughly 10 years. So once your transect lines are ready, put the arm slate on your arm. Make sure you have a ruler. So unlike us, when I was a young student, we weren't paying attention that much to the natural resources. But now that we know that we're actually affected by climate change, sea level rise, me as an instructor, this is one of the reasons why when I teach environmental studies, I try to emphasize on the importance of protecting the natural resources or everything out in the wild. So when you come across any of the species, you're supposed to measure. We're actually focusing on the sea cucumbers because we had an issue back in 2017 with the companies trying to purchase license to buy sea cucumbers, and they did it in an unsustainable way.
Protect our sea cucumber.
So one of the reasons why we're collecting data, so we can have our own data for management purposes.
This is a sea cucumber, specifically the curryfish. Its job in the ocean is more like cleaners of the reef. So they feed on the pollutants of the water, and they also help with nutrient cycling. So in that way, it also keeps the reef healthy. I think this is one of the biggest ones we found today.
Getting the community to understand the importance of protecting the resource is probably one of the main challenges that we encountered. For instance, MPAs, Marine Protected Areas. Some local fishermen, they think we're taking away their fishing space, but in fact, the whole purpose of creating these MPA is to maintain resources for the younger generation and upcoming islanders.
We are going to the sponge farm. Most of our aquaculture farm are around this area, mostly about the community sponge farm and clam farming. MARIP goal is to help the communities to promote any aquaculture that will be more sustainable for the communities. Lots of local people been involved in doing this. It helps them to find another source of income instead of fishing in the NBA. This is where we do the aquaculture sponge farm. We're about to see how we do the maintenance. I do love the wool sponge because it's grown here on the island. It's here, it's ours. And if we don't really take care of the wool sponge, we're gonna totally lose that natural heritage that we have. Now we start realizing how important it is, and we want to sell it out and also reserve it for the future, for the next generation. This kind of farming, sponge farming, in basics, it's creating another ecosystem. A lot of fish, a lot of animals comes together to feed on whatever grows on the sponges. And so they do a lot of filtering, cleaning the water. It is very important that anything that grows on our own island, it is very, very important that we know and have a knowledge how to keep it and support the mother nature.
Here we're on Atoll, and we mostly live out of the sea and the land. Our local producer. Fish for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like all day long. So the ocean is very important for us.
Little travel buddies?
I'm gonna do the benthic, so mostly they're corals. And this is my first time there. I feel good, feel okay to do that diving here.
I'd love to see a shark, just one dive. So I'm excited. Let's get in the water already, yay!
I'm feeling excited and a little bittersweet because I know there was this big El Nino in 2017, and I know the corals got bleached. And we hope we see a recovering reef. That's the hope, but very excited to be documenting this.
All right, we're good to go.
Go!
This expedition just expands all of the efforts of the Micronesia Challenge. And so this expedition is providing some of the first information that can be looked at in the same lens that we've been looking at the Micronesia Challenge on the main islands, because we have all the same local divers collecting the same types of information. Now we can add another element, and that's looking at all the remote atolls versus all the main islands and seeing what's happening there. The marine spatial planning process is always looking for areas of unique biodiversity, but they're also looking for areas to conserve that have just high abundances or have the potential for high abundances in terms of natural capital, the amount of fish, the health of the corals, and things like that. So if we can identify the areas with the greatest potential for success, that's how we start to inform locations for marine protection from a scientific perspective.
Beautiful. Very, very beautiful. For me, surprising is the corals. Very, very nice. Life. Yep.
Everything was good until we went inside the lagoon. There's a lot of dead corals, not plenty fish, but lots of clams.
The FSM, along with the rest of the Pacific, is being threatened with elevated sea surface temperatures. This is caused by larger pulses of these marine heat waves, which can induce coral bleaching. Usually, corals can bounce back from these El Nino events, these bleaching events, and they can recover, but climate change is making these heating events occur more frequently. It just puts more stress on the ecosystem, and so the corals do not have enough time to recover and adapt. You'd want to prioritize protecting reefs that are likely to help other reefs grow back in the future. A reef that has decent coral cover, has good fish biomass, it can seed other places and locations close by that particular area.
Something to see. I saw baby shark. Great.
Three sharks.
I had a roller coaster of emotions, to be honest with you. My first site I went in, I saw huge table corals that clearly survived the recent bleaching event. At the same time, I saw corals that were wiped out during the bleaching event, but had 9 different species of coral landing on top of the dead coral to try and recruit and recover. And if we think of resilience as I'm resisting and I'm recovering from the heat stress, it's the sum of those two. And to see both of those on one reef was kind of a first for me.
Welcome, sir. Lovely to see you. Thanks very much. Union.
You know, well, the community engagement is important in all expeditions. It's all about people. Senior state leaders, school children, all coming on to get a tour of the ship and meet the team and find out what we're really up to.
Welcome to the sun deck. We store a lot of our camera equipment on this deck, and that's the gear that we use for research.
For me, what I'm most excited about, the expedition, engaging with the youth, the students. They're going to be our future government leaders, our future traditional leaders.
Basically, we'll have the submarine go forward, back, left, right, do like a crab-like motion.
Being able to inspire the next generation to have more Micronesians in science is important for me to just also build our community, to support each other and to know that we're not alone in this space.
Thank you very much for the visit. Had a lot of fun. I hope you all become submarine pilots in the future.
Senator Commandant Paul Rose, how are you? Expedition leader. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so
How
much
good is
for
that?
allowing us. Because you made it.
Welcome, everybody. We've got a great day for you. How many of you have been in submarines before?
That's a good one.
You bring a lot to us. It's incredibly unique. Where it's one of those amazing expeditions where every day we learn something new from your team. But now we get at least the opportunity to bring something to you that is unique.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We depend on the ocean very much. From your data that you're giving us and what we can learn, I think we can preserve our resources and able to maintain for generation and generations to come.
So what do you think of this reef?
I like it. It's very pretty. I mean, there's a lot of things. For a deep water reef, this is a very nice reef.
Oh my, look at the color. I'm excited to learn more and see how I could help in my current role to contribute to the preservation of our environment and also to inspire the young generation.
Ooh, look at that. Pink, purple.
Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of them with different colors. And I think a lot is already going on as it is, but I think we could do more.
As we go further down, there were fewer algae present, less fish also. When the reef is healthy, then overfishing must be the main problem or main cause of not having much fish in the water. We should allow the fish to grow.
There's another shark on top of us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never really realized the impact until you go down and you see all this beautiful coral teeming with life. This is where coral is so important to preserve what we value, the fish, the marine life. And you feel like you have to do something about it if you want to keep that beauty and the treasure that's there.
It's a really good opportunity for me. I'm studying marine science. It's a good thing to learn this and be able to play a role in maintaining and keep the waters healthy.
So look my shirt here. We call it Aimor Aipuko in Pohnpei. But down here is my reef, my community, my responsibility. I started working at conservation in 2001. In 2005, we start monitor our reef in Pohnpei. So first time we came down to Oroluk. The problem conservation of Pohnpei have, we don't have a good boat. So we lucky you guys bring the good boat, so we got on and come down here.
Oroluk was kind of one of our low human impact atolls. It's been a conservation area from the state since the 80s, and we thought that there would be a really low human footprint, and that's pretty much what we found on the outer reefs. So on the north reefs, we've seen reefs that have been just incredibly resistant on our first day of diving. The channel areas where water passes in and out represent productive areas, and these might be supplying nutrients to help support the corals in times of stress, times of heat stress. So we've seen that pattern on 2 atolls, and we look forward to seeing if more of those patterns emerge. And that would be a basis that we could set up some form of spatial management recommendation. So we're looking for something like that, patterns that exist across atolls.
Chuuk is the most populated state in the Federated States of Micronesia, and it's made up of 42 main islands. By 42 main islands, I mean islands with their autonomous governments that are spread out across the ocean, and yet they still manage to hold together an identity because it's the ocean that sustains that identity. In fact, Mata is our Chuukese word for ocean, which means way of life.
Even mention ye madam early.
Yebedea garari esishin one early bren memara ren arebor mera family rare ederges iwa fotugadi esishin igae banu arebo perngeri arabas nge resaptogori chiverata non eoch pu abecherira ye wurin urugat maram iradon ashuk yo jarawe family yo rata yo wurin edergesire family rata murin yo arabasen yo shop igawe feru rabatogori arbata ei amat masoere och reidageri dosit masoer ei meiram nare agagetugun Yovera shokor kesakon saisirama ngeigerai yusia dogorigura ikasiagetiwe ikadenetiwe afeyorke kogun saisirama Fokukirisogari agagetugun nare set ubei erivirato sakopate masoe nare set digerai Yue si ugirisogari arabasen everu ikakosora Puran metra wedi nangawaran mebe de bochuara yorafang nurder kowe e bore bachorong pue bore tubun pue bore gan ira nerien am nerie tuburi gaubu non AMBA
yakataya ewo chitanero
Regan Mayor Nursery Marine Conservation Officer, Irmen Patroluri, JMBA, Marine Protected Area, Irme Pan, Esisina, HK, MBA, Arabas, Resaptogori Doronon, Rerachke, Esisina Ruri. You are Faridera Parekishna Katata Fansho, Aptuburu. Yo jorataro kaweri beisusu yo raban toriria meregis orosheven masoena.
Our ways of thinking, knowing and being all revolve around our ancestors' ability to observe and understand the characters of the ocean, the interconnectedness of people, our identities, our clans. All of these concepts come from understanding the ocean. So when we talk about marine science, marine environment is actually about understanding who we are. And so to lose track of marine knowledge is to lose our own identity.
In Chuuk waters, we're going to visit 4 atolls. They're all very remote. We're going to deploy all of our instruments, and we got 4 new divers on the expedition.
With the traditional knowledge, we know it's always better to conserve, take this and leave this for the future. But in terms of which particular coral or fish species, the scientific knowledge on understanding really where to focus management would be very helpful for the communities.
Surprisingly, wasn't what I really expected. Looked like it's recovering from something else. I'm pretty shocked. These lagoons being so out and far, I would thought it would be much more healthier. We are gonna gather up all the data, analyze it, and of course share it with the mayor what we've seen.
Seritek nom na ne jachemeni na ne kukun mi vifentuvich chammang I chammang mo ora ke fanson ni eduke poseni na we our akan torgits as a plan me kan I agukura at tuvich me reset pat tuvich me leva simuchen be ikwatania samuchen be me ko tuvich nom ke afen ta sedikit sama jadi bubar.
From the findings that we've seen from our dives, the data that we were collecting confirmed what they've shared with us. The changes from back then and now, it's been so hard to catch fish. We are here at the Polowat Atoll, inside the atoll, and we're about to check out a spot where the mayor said was a sanctuary for the island of Polowat. We are excited to be in the waters and see what's there.
We sampled using both snorkel surveys and remote cameras. It seems to be a really important nursery. We actually saw a lot of small fish, so that was a really good sign.
They seem to be in a great condition. Probably should keep it a sanctuary or a mission for a lot more longer. Great signs of fish stock, inverts, as well as corals.
If they can keep that area for that purpose and allow fish to build up in those really important nursery habitats, then I think that'll bode well for what's going to happen on the outside of the reef as well.
Ever since I was a little boy, growing up, I was always taught to respect the things that came before you. Culture came before me. Yapi's history came before me. The natural environment came before me. How we see the natural environment is what our ancestors have seen for thousands of years. This place is the dancing ground of the Mangyol cultural site. As you can see, we are walking along the stone path. These are ancient irrigation systems, kind of like the ditch in the western sense, but the irrigation system collects all the water from the top of the hills, leading it down the stone path towards the shoreline. For us, the Yapese people, we value hardship, we value hard work, because it brings glory, it brings a sense of pride. So Mangyol Cultural Site presents a very unique sense of pride for us because of the feats that our ancestors were able to undertake. They traveled on long voyaging canoes to the rock islands of Palau, quarried the stone money, and then they brought it straight to this very site.
Navigation is something sacred on the island, and it's essential to the survival of the people.
We go out there to use the ocean to get to our neighboring islands to get supplies or deliver supplies such as food. And we go to the submerged reefs and catch the fish we need for the community. In the past, the community maintained certain fishing techniques by using fish trap that will only catch certain type of fish and certain size of fish, and regulations that allow only certain type of fishing at a certain time of the year, so that the reef and the ocean around the island is not overfished. Those traditional techniques, some of them are still being used today.
In total, there are 768 fish weir around the island in Yap. So it's like an arrow going to the sea where the path of the fish is. And the height of the fish weir depends on the high tide. They build it really high because when it's high tide, the fish will come to the shore. And then when it starts getting low, the sea is getting low, they won't return right away. And then when they return, the fish trap is already there. So it's like a freezer. Anytime you need fish, you just go there and catch the fish. Climate change, yeah, it's hard. The current is getting stronger. So it starts breaking down corals and damaging places for fish to grow. And a lot of coral died, so not a lot of fish.
It's a buffer zone line. As you can see, that is straight from one side to another side. Beyond this line is the beginning of the Limpol Marine Conservation Area. What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna film the fish in the water in the Marine Conservation Area so I can show the community picture of the fish. Until 1985, that's when I came back from Pohnpei. I went out with some boys fishing at night. I went and looked at those branching coral. Hey, what happened to all the fish? They're gone. The Limpol Conservation was formed in 2007. There was a discussion between these two communities, Okao communities and Kosrae communities, about the fish in the water that are getting fewer and smaller. So they come up with this project. The fish are coming back in the marine conservation, but the area is too small. So we're trying to negotiate with the other neighboring community to join the conservation, so the conservation can extend.
Yes, we want to look into globalization, new technologies. That is happening everywhere. But there's something very special about living one-in-one, tandem, hand-in-hand with the natural environment. We are custodians of the natural environment. That's what the Yapese people have been doing for thousands of years. And that's what we want to teach our future generations to continue doing.
In our time in Yap, we're going to be visiting the atolls of West Bayou, If, Waliai, Sorol, and then finishing up in Yap.
YAP has been doing reef surveys for over 10 years, collecting data all around the Yap main island. And so visiting the outer atolls is trying to fill in that gap, that missing data that we have not had over the past 10 years.
West Bayou and Atoll Atoll is going to be a really interesting place to visit. It's actually uninhabited, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the fish populations are doing there in comparison to Oroluk, Walleye, and the atolls which have people.
It looks pretty pristine. I mean, tons of fish, which indicates that there's very low fishing pressure here. But then Oroluk, it's got a fair population of people, and so we saw high fishing pressure within the reefs, and it's very evident that it has recently gone through a major impact, which killed off a high percentage of corals. But then from West Bayou, because of the fish populations, the reef was able to slowly recover.
Ila mina kisa wari feriu, ana wari feriu ai, kai kada nuane wo kai ka for this mo for me de, po to ai vitata to gi ne or ta na tat, po ya ke bo oro ia, kai bo nga kai ka to da pe, I to da.
So the first site we'll be going to this morning is this site, 115, which you say is a sanctuary?
Yeah.
So you said there's good fish up in the north here?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Pretty good dive, lots of corals, decent recovery of fish. Not many big fish, but good finds. Fish plenty.
The survey was great. The corals looked healthy and happy, and it was probably one of the most colorful reefs that we saw on this trip.
Beautiful. There was maybe 80% coral cover, plenty of small snappers, herbivores. It looks beautiful, and looking after their waters really well here. So across all the atolls that we sampled in Yap, we saw a real variety of fish assemblages and coral assemblages. So some places we saw a lot of big fish, we saw sharks, and we saw relatively healthy coral. And in other places we were seeing sort of pavement, algae-dominated reefs and only small fish left.
What we really saw was kind of the healthiest reefs with the best fish populations at, understandably, the islands with the lowest human population. This was a really great way to end the trip. It was a beautiful dive, saw a lot of really big fish, which we were just really happy to see. Kind of brilliant all over.
Now that we've completed the expedition and we're starting to look at some of the results, we're starting to understand and be able to answer some of our initial questions. What is climate change doing to our reefs and FSM? What are the fish stocks looking like? We want to know if removing local stressors, such as, say, fishing pressure and land-based sources of pollution, Does this help you become more resistant to climate change-induced heat stress, or does this help you recover faster?
I think one of my biggest takeaways from the expedition is the fact that, yes, climate change is definitely here. We are 100% seeing the impact of climate change on almost all of these reefs.
We saw some areas where there was definite signs of overexploitation and some areas where they were fished out almost completely.
Throughout the entire survey, we thought about what are the signs of hope. And I think when we think about what were these signs of hope, we think about what were the successful forms of traditional management that work the best, and how can we share those?
We came across a few different traditional management techniques in islands like Puluat and Woleai. The atolls that have more protection tend to have stronger fish assemblages, and that can help really clear out the negative effects of these bleaching events, the overgrowth of algae. So then we'll see a little bit more, not resistance to bleaching, but resilience, the ability to recover from these bleaching events.
So setting up protected areas or seasonal fishing, like traditional practices that we saw, those can definitely help reefs be more resilient and bounce back.
With the stressors going on, I would advise mostly all these communities to actually leave a partial of their oceans under protection to have, let's say, recruits or a backup plan in the future. Understanding that global warming is not just within a scale of 20 years, 10 years, it's gonna be forever.
Our ocean is very limited. If wipe out the resources, we are finished. To have food security that provide to the people. My community needs very protected area.
People are depending on their resources more and more, and that's a real pressure. And so this is why we need marine spatial planning to start to address these issues. Part of the Micronesia Challenge is to help these communities should they decide to establish marine spatial planning and marine protected areas.
With an overall picture, we can work with the national government to assist local communities in protecting their resources in the future.
With science, now we have so much technology that allows us to collect data that our ancestors didn't have. The climate solutions are here in our islands. Combining both worlds of science and traditional knowledge, I think, is the best way for us to build resilience for our islands and preserve our cultural and natural heritage.
The water is there. We think it is providing everything we need. So we put the responsibility out into the water. We lost the mentality of the local people that we have to take care of our own natural resource.
My vision for our oceans is to just make sure that they remain healthy or even become healthier. Because there is no way we can survive in this world if our oceans are not protected.
My hope is that we continue to collaborate, to work together, to ensure that we're doing our part in protecting our reefs, using the best science, traditional knowledge to move forward and achieve the Micronesia Challenge, and just to be an ocean leader. We're so rich, so diverse, and I think that's what we can use. That's a strength for us to show the world that although we're small, we can do big things.